Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caroline and today we are going to talk about something as charming as constipation. Before we get into the video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, like this video, share the video, and of course you can also go follow me on my Instagram that's also called The Art of Being Ill. So lately I have been struggling with constipation, and this is very normal for people with bowel diseases, and also common for a lot of people actually who do not necessarily have anything wrong with their bowel. But constipation is really annoying and it has been keeping me up at night and so annoying. But it made me think maybe I should do a little video about constipation, the causes, and what you can do on your own, and also what you can buy over the counter for constipation at the pharmacy. So what is constipation? Obviously, you probably all tried being constipated. And it's basically when you are having a hard time emptying your bowel and it becomes more infrequent, and just having a hard time emptying your bowel. The clinical definition is if you empty your bowel, go to the toilet, less than 3 times a week, constipation is occurring. There can be many reasons why you are constipated. Having a low fiber diet can make you constipated. Fiber helps the bowel and its movements. Fiber sucks in fluid, which makes the stool more soft. And when water is sucked into the stool, it will also swell, and that will stimulate the bowel wall so that you can more easily empty your bowel. The movements will be more correct. And so having a low fiber diet can actually cause constipation, and this is a problem. There are a lot of people out there who do not eat enough fiber in their diet. Another reason can be not drinking enough water. We need at least 1.5 to 2 liters a day, and maybe even more if it's like a heat wave going on or you exercise very intensely. We need to drink even more. So it's really important to stay hydrated for many reasons, but to avoid constipation is one of them. Lack of physical activity can also cause constipation. And you don't have to do intense workouts in order to help your bowel movement. It can be something as simple as taking a walk. And for some people, for different reasons, because of illness or disability, they might not be able to move that much. So of course, some people might not really be able to do much about that particular situation, but in general, it's a good idea to move at least a little. Something as weird as holding it when you actually have to go number 2, emptying your bowel. If you hold it, that can actually cause constipation. If you do it a lot and you do it frequently, you can get constipated from actually not going when you need to go. There are a lot of types of medications that can also cause constipation. You might already know this if you're chronically ill and you take some pills, because a lot of medicine can cause constipation. One of them is painkillers of some sort, morphine for example. It can also be antidepressants can also cause constipation, and even supplements like calcium and iron can actually constipate you if you get too much of it. And of course, the last thing I'm going to mention, and the obvious one, is that you can have an underlying condition that makes you constipate easier, so to speak. And this could be something like what I have, morbus Crohn, IBD in general, and IBS and so on. There can be a lot of reasons for constipation. The symptoms of constipation is probably something you're very familiar with. Being bloated and having a bit of tenderness or maybe even pain in the bowel area. Maybe you feel almost like, I know I do, when my bowel really tries to push hard to get the stool out, I almost feel like I'm cramping in my bowel. That can actually be really painful. It's also the way your stool looks. It's usually very hard, and sometimes it even comes out like in small lumps. And also, when you have been to the bathroom, you still feel like there is stool left in the bowel. You don't feel like you're quite finished, but you can't go anymore, but you feel like you're not really done. It's also a common symptom. There are a few things you can do yourself without taking any types of laxatives, and that is related to the causes, of course. So making sure that you eat enough fiber. So this is like dark grains and something like spinach and lentils, chickpeas, and those kind of things have a very high fiber. And so making sure you get enough fiber, and of course stay hydrated. Drink at least 1.5 to 2 liters of water every day. If you live in a place where it's really, really hot, or you exercise even more, maybe try to look up wherever you live, your health authorities, and see how much they actually do recommend you drink of water. So, because being hydrated is really important, including when it comes to constipation. Of course, exercising is also a really good idea if you are constipated. And like I said before, this can be just taking a walk. It doesn't have to be intense for it to help your bowel. So just take a walk for a half an hour even. That will help. There are natural laxatives as well, such as prunes, for example, and flax seeds, that can actually help you. They haven't helped me, to be honest. I have tried prunes, it's not working for me, but maybe, who knows, maybe. And then there is this little, kind of a weird one, but that's actually quite effective, and that's establishing a routine in when you're going number 2. And I know this sounds insane, but for real, if you say to yourself, okay, the first thing I do in the morning, let's say you get up at 7 a.m., then you go to the bathroom, and I'm gonna sit there for half an hour whether something happens or not, to just go number 2. If you do that consistently every day, your bowel will start to know when it can empty, and it will know your bathroom schedule, so it will become easier for you to go number 2 in the morning at 7 a.m. Maybe even do this a few times a day. I know it sounds weird, but I know people for whom this has worked. Maybe you've seen The Big Bang Theory. Sheldon, he does have a bathroom routine, and it's actually not such a bad idea because you can train your bowel to know when it can go. And it sounds weird, but I think the idea is that back in the day when we were living more intact with nature, I could imagine that we are created so that you don't have to go number 2 if you're being haunted by a mammoth. You know what I mean? Like so then you could run and not have to worry about going number 2 on the way, because the body will just like, okay, we can't go now because something else is happening. So I think it's an evolutionary thing that if you train your brain and your bowel to know that this is a safe time where I can go, it will start to go. That's the only, and this is just my own little theory. This is not something I know for a fact. The only thing I do know for a fact is that it is actually quite effective. Of course, if it's really bad, like it is for me, and you need a little help, there's nothing wrong with that. You can get over-the-counter laxatives. And there are 3 types that I'm gonna mention. There are the bulk-forming laxatives, which basically what they do is they suck water into the stool, and thereby the stool will become more soft. And because of the water that gets into the stool will also swell up and thereby hit the bowel wall and stimulate the bowel wall to move. So it gets softer and it becomes easier. It stimulates the bowel to actually move, and it's easier for the bowel to move it. Those are something you could try, and this is something like husk. I think that's what you call it in English as well. Maybe. I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not 100% sure, but it's those fibers that you can buy and put into bakeries and stuff. You know what? I think I'm gonna find out if I'm saying it right and then make a little text if it was the right name I came up with. There are osmotic laxatives, and they work by retaining fluid in the stool, and it does it by osmosis. That was the simple explanation, but it has the same effect as the bulk forming. It makes sure that the stool becomes more soft and it swells so that it stimulates the bowel wall to move. So it does it in a different way, but it's kind of doing the same. And a product you could buy for this is magnesia. At least that's what it's called in Denmark, and that's actually what I'm taking at the moment, and it is working wonders, so I can really recommend that. The last one I want to mention is stimulants, and this could be something like Dulcolax. That's a brand in Denmark. Laxoperal is also a brand in Denmark. I'm not sure what you would call it where you are, but this literally stimulates the bowel's movements, and that's how it works, and it's quite effective actually. But it will usually not be the first choice if you ask a pharmacist or a doctor or something. They will usually probably choose the osmotic laxatives first or the bulk forming, but because, and this is because stimulants stimulate the bowel movements. And the problem is if you constipated for a longer period of time, maybe due to illness or something, and you take these stimulants, your bowel can actually, in a way, become addicted, or rather maybe dependent on the stimulant, because your bowel gets used to being stimulated into movement. So if you take it for, I think they say more than 2 weeks, there is a risk that when you stop, you'll get constipated again, because now your bowel is not getting the help to move, and it has to do it by itself. So it might actually end up in an evil circle, but they can be very effective as long as you don't take them for too long. So overall, constipation, I think we have all tried it. Some of us probably struggle with it more than others, but there are things you can do to avoid it and to help you if you get constipated like me. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful and informational. And I will see you next time right here on my channel, The Art of Being Ill.